Alright, three, two, one. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It is me, the reviewer slash reactor. It's been some time, but I'm back to discuss, react, and review to Fantastic Four First Steps by Marvel Studios. Now, disclaimer, this movie has been out for almost a month, so I've given you enough time to see it, okay? Usually I don't do that. I upload reactions sooner to the release date of the film, but I'm like, you know what? It's one of the last films I'm going to be discussing of the summer, so take all the time you need, and then I'll make the video and upload it to the channel. And I think that's a better deal for us, right? Before I get into any of this, I will say that not only am I going to talk about the film, discuss its plot and rate it, but also going to talk about the future of the MCU and how I think we're leading up and what's next, and just stuff about the channel, all those things. That sounds good to you guys, then consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, because I will be doing more of this. You know, there's Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out, other films to discuss as well. So no, this is not the end for a while. Just know that there will always be more to come. So, it's been a couple weeks. Let's discuss the film. So, of course, spoilers are going to be in it. Should be in the title as well. And I've done the trailer reactions and all that good stuff, so it should be available on the channel for you guys to check out. So go ahead and watch that before you see this video where I react to the film. So that being said, let's get right into it. So Fantastic Four First Steps. Let me pull up my notes real quickly. Okay. All right. So first, I'm just gonna discuss the plot, right? What happened in it. So, the film begins with a pre-established Fantastic Four crew, right? They already explained who each of the members are. We got Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. We have Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Invisible Woman. We have Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. And we also have Eben Moss Bacharach as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. And they sort of play like these flashback clips on the TV of how they transformed and got their powers when they went into space. So they quickly go over that and their origin story, how they got their powers, all those things. And in the opening of the film, they show them fighting some, I guess, more so lower tier villains, kind of, sort of. But established that, you know, we got the Puppet Master, Mole Man, these people already exist within this world. So um, nothing really too shocking. They tease them. Maybe for the sequel, they might come back saying that they're keeping their eyes on them, but they're not the main villains of this film. No, 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 no. I will get into that in a second. So at first, they are, I guess, living their lives like normal. Um, but Reed is basically, actually, let me tie back for a second. The opening of the film more so picks up with Reed Richards explaining that, I think I got too far ahead of myself, that him and Sue Storm are going to be having a baby. So that's kind of how it picks up with the fact that their pregnancy has been announced, right? If you've seen the clips from the trailer, they do tell them when they come for Sunday dinner. It's usually when they meet up. I think it's around 7 p.m. on the dot, right? You know, the whole thing about you're late and the joke from there goes on. When Ben picks up on that, and yeah, so that gets announced. And then they start getting these signals, right, from space, right, about some sort of space cosmic threats possibly happening. Um, and that's when the Herald announces herself, who ends up being Silver Surfer, right? Who is Shala Ball, played by Julie Gardner, right, as you've seen from the trailers. And she's the Herald for Galactus, who will be arriving soon. So you can see how the elements of the film are picking up from here. We have this big new threat on the way. So Reed, you know, being the smartest man alive, has to sort of come up with some sort of plan and figure out a way to save his planet, because that's sort of the obligation of the Fantastic Four, to protect their people, because, you know, the people of Earth look up to them, and they're also been deemed as the protectors of this world when Galactus comes to see if that's who they are. So the Fantastic Four members decide to go to space, negotiate with Galactus to have their planet not be eaten, right? Because Galactus is the herald. So it's kind of noted that she's sort of the one who chooses what planets get eaten or not. Don't know how true that is comic book wise, but that's what we are led to believe. So they go in their little spaceship into space. I don't know if it's the wisest thing bringing Sue with them, considering that she is pregnant, but whatever. She joins for the ride, I guess. And in my opinion, they didn't really show this part in the trailers too much, and the whole space sequence I think was just really well done. When they go to space and we see Galactus for the first time on the big screen from the planet which he's at, I think it's just phenomenal. Like his CGI and everything looks perfect, and we also have Ralph Ensign doing his voice, and he's like, "I was once little like you," things like that. Just the way he talks and his the sort of menacing tone he brings to Galactus, I think is perfect. And seeing him on the big screen was just a nice treat for us. So I think those things, in my opinion, was done pretty well. And what he basically does is he realizes that the child, the baby that Sue Storm will be having, will be born with some special powers as he possesses the power cosmic. Now, if you are familiar with the comics a little bit, you may have heard of it, as it is very important because Franklin Richards will be born with very special powers that can pretty much change stuff. He can create a lot of cool things, very important within the multiverse and universe and all those things. Because I believe in Galactus, I should say that is like, okay, this guy could be potentially a threat to me if he is against me, because he will be super powerful. Galactus is known to be one of the oldest living things ever created. He's been alive for a long period of time, and this sort of hunger has taken over him, so he needs to feed off of planets, I guess. Um, and he realizes that if he can use Franklin Richards to sort of take over the position which he has, and that might, I guess, end the misery of his life. So the trade deal that Galactus will be making is, if you give me your child, then I will choose to spare your Earth. Obviously, not a good deal, right? For the Fantastic Four members, this is very bad for them, of course. So, yeah, no, they're not happy with that. They're like, all right, we need to get out of here. This is a bad deal. We're fully against it. But Galactus makes the birthing process of Franklin happen sooner. So he becomes born prematurely. So Sue is pregnant with him as they're on the ship flying back. So that sort of speeds up when he gets born. So he has to be born on the spaceship with the help of the Fantastic Four members. And yeah, a lot of scary stuff is happening right now because Sue's dealing with the fact that she's currently in labor, and Reed and the other members are helping out while Ben is flying the ship, and the Herald Silver Surfer is after them, and Johnny doesn't want to fight her, but oh well, sort of what is currently happening as of right now, when they have to sort of get away from her because she is also threatening their family because she's trying to take Franklin away from them and delivering him to Galactus. So all these things are happening, and I think a lot of people agree that this space sequence, when Silver Surfer is chasing the Fantastic Four members in space, and this whole sequence is playing out. Most people agreed, from my opinion, that this was one of their favorite moments of the film. Just the shots within space, I think, were done fairly well. So I will give them that. I think Matt Shackman directed this sequence fairly well. And later on, they realize that they need to come with some sort of plan, right? Because now they're back on Earth. Um, and we've seen this part has also been showed of the film where the reporters are asking them, what happened, how did you guys defeat Galactus? And I don't know if it was the best idea, at least coming from me, for them to report to the people this quickly. They should have gone back home, taken some time off, and decided what they wanted to speak to the public. But nope, as soon as we're back, people are cheering like, "Oh, Franklin's born already!" Like, is that not shocking to anyone? Everyone's just like, "Yay, they're back!" Okay, yes, it is nice to see them again, but like, calm down, like let's let them settle a bit. But nope. I also did brush off another moment of the film where we did get the Future Foundation acknowledged within the film, and Sue is known for being one, I guess, one of the smarter members, maybe, or the one who's certainly there to present off the and talk to the members of the Future Foundation. I believe it's more about peace and prosperity, things like that. You know, about nuclear weapons and how countries should, I guess, come together in harmony and things like that. We did see an Easter egg from the empty chair from the Latvian representative. Nobody was there to represent that nation, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then, of course, the other members are also smart. You know, of course, you have Johnny, who's also trying to figure out what the signals mean that are coming from Shalabal, the Silver Surfer, the Herald, which she's because she told him a certain message when she first arrived on 838, the Fantastic Four's Earth, and she said something to him in her native language. So he's trying to figure out what all of that means and trying to, I guess, try to decipher what she's talking about. So he's sort of picking up on that. While in the meantime, Reed has to figure out a way to protect his Earth from not being eaten. And, you know, of course, the people on Earth are not happy when, obviously, the Fantastic Four members are not going to choose to sacrifice their newborn child um, for the sake of the lives of the people on the Earth. And Sue delivers this speech, which I think a lot of us have heard by now. I think it goes something a little bit like, I will not give up my child for this world, but I will not give up this world for my child. And during this sequence, when it played in the theaters, I'm like, so you're basically gonna do nothing. I said it as kind of a joke, but those were sort of my 2 cents. I get everybody's cheering about it, like, yay, but couldn't we have said something a little bit better? You know, I'm not gonna fault that line, whatever. This film could have been a little bit longer, you know. We're rushing into these things, but whatever. And the CGI for the baby could have been better, but whatever. Anyways, then Reed gets this awesome idea that, wait a second, he's talking this thing about like these math equations and variables on the board with like this lever thing. Like, what lever? What is going on here? And then we're gonna use like all these like bridges and stuff. We have the Baxter building, that place has a bridge, and I guess the entire universe he's been trying to transport this little egg thing, you know, and he's like, we should take the Earth and push it somewhere else. That way Galactus won't be able to get to us and we can all live happily ever after. Kind of, sort of. We have to preserve, I guess, the energy as well, so countries will have to, I guess, have this little, what do you call it? Lights off period um, during curfew time, I guess. And then all these countries have to come together and work together. I don't know. This is a retro futuristic world taking place in the 60s. Maybe the countries are a lot smarter. They work together much more. I mean, considering we do have a future foundation, I will give them credit where credit's due, except for the empty Latveria chair, you know. Um, Maybe this Earth 838 is smart enough to work together, I guess, and to listen to Reed. If he is truly the smartest man on their planet, maybe they'll be able to understand him. Even though at first he did think of all possibilities, one of them considering to give Franklin up to Galactus, but obviously Sue would not want that to be their final outcome. So we go with this idea of pushing the Earth somewhere else, or not pushing it, but more so taking it somewhere else by transporting it, by using Reed's super smart plan where, you know, they power off, all countries come together, and then they transport their planet to a different place. And while this plan is about to work, then comes in Galactus as she stops this plan while it's occurring. She destroys a bunch of the bridges, you know, tower shaped bridges, and then comes in Johnny, who speaks to her in her ancient dialect. And yeah, wow, isn't that something? He learned a whole new language just for her, the one that she is native in, the one that she grew up in. I don't know why she would have her own language. I guess maybe she's from a different Earth. We'll go with that theory. How she, I guess, sacrificed herself for her planet so that it wouldn't get eaten, I guess, and would end up becoming Galactus's herald. So Johnny would love to make a similar sacrifice, but that's not how it works because Galactus wants Franklin only. So Johnny says to Shalabal, okay, then why don't you work with us and we can stop Galactus together? And that's when Reed gets a new idea that, okay, our bridge is still intact. What if we use that to push Galactus far away into like this black hole thing? I don't know. He's gonna be gone. He's gonna go somewhere, I guess. So they get this plan of tricking him by baiting him essentially. If he's after Galactus, we can, I guess, leave him alone in his little crib thingy. He'll come for him, and then we will trick him. Because right afterwards, we'll transport him back into the Baxter building where he'll be safe with Herbie looking after him. And that sort of is what their plan becomes looking like, but Galactus eventually catches in when he sees that Franklin is not there when he does this little scan with his eyes, and he goes, "Clever little bugs." Great line. Obviously, it's not gonna work because Galactus isn't that dumb, you guys. Okay, like I like how he calls them bugs, because I guess that's what they are to him. I don't know. I mean, if I mean, I guess he can change size. Before that, he was looking at the Statue of Liberty when he was, super tall and all. Like, okay, there's like the Statue of Liberty. Like, did she do something to you? No, I'm kidding. What happens next? So then comes in Galactus, big guy, stomp, stomp, stomp again. It's just a nice, awesome thing seeing him walk around, just perfect. In his full glory, seeing him on the big screen, especially if you were able to see it in IMAX. Like, the dude is massive, just towering around, you know, super tall, just awesome. Anyways, so there he is, and eventually he's like, okay. He is realized that Franklin is inside the Baxter building, so he's able to take him away. Herbie is also there, and now he has him. Now Reed is trying to stop him, of course, but then he stretches Reed like this, and I don't know why, but that must look super painful. What's happening to Reed? I mean, man is getting stretched apart. And of course, the other Fantastic Four members are trying to stop him from what he's doing. We got a little team up moment between Ben and Johnny, and we've seen that from the trailers when, Johnny is trying to tell Ben, like, what time is it, Ben? What time is it, Ben? But it is clobbering time, you guys, that is what time it is. So, anyways, they're all trying to stop Galactus from what he's doing, and eventually Sue Storm, she comes in and she's trying to push him away, far back. They're trying to get everything powered up again and to send him away, but then they realize that they need another Fantastic Four member to step in. So Johnny decides to, I guess, sacrifice himself in order to ensure that Franklin lives onwards. But nope, then comes in Silver Surfer, amused by Johnny, and then decides to, I guess, work with them. So she pushes him away and sacrifices herself, maybe, I guess, I don't know, because then she goes with Galactus through this portal thingy, and then they're gone away, I guess, never to return or come back, maybe, who knows. I guess their planet is now safe, but of course that did a lot of damage to Sue Storm when she was trying to, use her force field powers to push Galactus away. Must have done a lot of damage to her body. But Franklin has these awesome powers which can just bring people back to life. In a way, I guess he kind of does that to his mom, Sue, and she's alive then. She does not die in this film, of course. And everyone is happy, I guess. Pretty much everyone is alive. And of course, during this sequence, when it was happening, the people of New York were sent underground, I guess, because they had to ask Mole Man. And Mole Man, what was it? He was played by, I think, Paul Walter Hauser, right? Right actor, right? So I guess they were able to work together on that end. I guess I don't think Mole Man is their biggest threat, but whatever. I guess he was willing to let that slide while they were underground, while this part was occurring. But afterwards, everyone is pretty much fine. That's basically all that happened. And then they come back to the Ted Gilbert show after, I guess, they defeated Galactus in a way. So they do Ted Gilbert shows twice in the film, which I did not predict correctly. The first time it happens in the beginning of the film when they're sort of being introduced again to us again, and then the second time when they're much more tired looking. They don't want to talk to them right now. They want to, I guess, just live their lives like normally. They don't want to speak to the public again, I guess, or do one of these events. So instead, they quickly get out of there when they get alerted that their presence is needed because of a threat occurring. So then they're going back into little thing they fly around in. And of course, they had a little car seat for Franklin Richards, but of course, they're having trouble figuring out a way to get him in there. Even though they're super smart, they still struggle in basic things like this, while Sue is just holding Franklin, letting the men figure this simple thing out, I guess, until eventually they get it done. I don't know, it's meant to, I guess, be one of the funny moments of the film. And then yeah, the film basically ends around there. Teasing that the Fantastic Four will return, I guess, in the future. And yeah, that's basically what happens. And then I clapped during the ending of the film because it was over. And yeah, that's basically that. Okay, so I finished discussing the film and most of what happened. So, oh my goodness, I've spent 20 minutes doing just that. I don't think I would take that long. Anyways, what is next? This was gonna be a long video, guys. Just letting you know. Well, we'll see. Anyways, so post-credit scene of the film. So there's two post-credit scenes. There's a mid-credit and a post-credit scene, right? Mid-credit scene of the film. Let's get right into that. So 4 years have gone by because we have to age up Franklin, right? We can't just have him be a baby while Doomsday and Secret Wars are around the corner. Nope, we need a powerful guy like him because he has the power cosmic, of course. So instead, here comes Franklin. Even though he's 4 years old, he's already super smart. He, I guess, read Charles Darwin's book, right? Charles Darwin. Was it the evolution one? On the origin of species? It may have been that one. Before that, Sue was reading to him, I guess, was like The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I think it was that book by Eric Carle from 1969. So I guess this post-credit scene in the film takes place around then. I think the film took place in 65 plus 4 years leads into 1969. So around then, of course, I think is when the post-credit scene is taking place. Also, a little bit of renovation did happen. The color, I think, did change from blue to orange of the Baxter building, right? So that occurred. And she decides to get another book for Franklin to read because they finished reading that one. And of course, she was not going to read with him The Origin of Species. He already completed that book, and while it might be his favorite, they are going for something a bit more fun. So she comes in with another book to read with him, but instead, she gets this ominous presence that somebody's there. We hear this eerie, I guess, music playing in the background, this little theme for a certain character. Then we see this figure, person, who has this mask taken off. He's holding it. He has this green cape, and he is holding Franklin Richards. They're looking at each other. She's walking towards them. She's ready to use her powers in case there's any danger happening within this area. And yeah, the film ends around there, basically teasing that Doctor Doom is among us. Whether it's RDJ or not, who knows, in the suit. Matt Shackman directed the film and directed WandaVision, of course. Great show, in my opinion, of MC Disney Plus series. Gave us a great retro futuristic vibe in this one, basically. And yeah, this post credit scene was directed by the Russo Bros, who are, of course, directing the next Avengers film, Doomsday. And yeah, Matt Shackman can say that that was RDJ in the suit as Doctor Doom, but some of us might not believe that. Who knows if that looks like him or not, or if they couldn't afford him for that particular scene. But yeah, the film, I guess, kind of ends around there. Well, that is the mid-credit scene, and the post-credit scene is just showing the Fantastic Four members as animated characters. And yeah, that's basically what happens in the film, ends around there. So yeah, I think I've finished discussing everything that happens. So yeah, 24 minutes. Okay. So now, let me know what you guys thought about that in the comments below. Did you guys enjoy it, like it? Pros, cons, whatever, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments. For me, again, the only few things I didn't like about this film were that, as the Fantastic Four film, I will say this though, I pretty much got what I wanted. My expectations were pretty much there. Now, when I do rate it, you guys might say, "Oh, did I like this more or less than Superman?" Because apparently that's the biggest comparison. Both Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps were pretty good films that we got within July of 2025. So no reason to really compare to weird comic book films. That's pretty much just from my experience. Like if we're doing well within this industry, like why need to have this divide? Is it just the whole MCU versus DC thing that needs to be um, kept at bay? I guess I don't know. I mean, competition is healthy, but like I enjoyed both. I give Superman what an 8.5. This one I will be giving a 9.5 because you guys, I only didn't get two things. One, if it was just a bit longer, and two, CGI for Franklin could have been a little bit better. Other than that, I pretty much got exactly what I wanted and what I knew I was gonna get. I wasn't really too shocked or too surprised. Again, seeing Galactus in the film was awesome in his full glory. The Fantastic Four members really acted like this nice, working well together family. Their dynamic, their chemistry was just perfect. Villains were great. Heroes were great. Sets looked great. What more could you ask for? Like check, check, check. All the boxes from you were checked off. But these two smaller things could have just made it a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. So, does this mean I liked it more or less than Superman? You guys can make your own opinion of that. I will not be comparing it to Superman. Superman, I just wish was a little bit better. The CGI could have been done more well. And I wish we got a little bit more out of the film, especially seeing Clark interact in the Daily Bugle. But again, that's a separate video. I've already reacted to Superman. You can find that also on the channel. As for this film, 9.5 out of 10. I pretty much got what I wanted from it. My expectations were pretty much met. So that's nice. Now, now. I finished the first main chunk of my review. Now let's tie it back into the MCU. What does this mean for the future of the MCU and where do we go here? And this is the part I'm excited to really discuss with you guys. Well, the review is also fun, but this part I'm also excited to discuss with you guys. Just making sure I've done everything. Yeah, all right. Notes look good. So, anyways, now a lot of people are saying, "Oh, superhero fatigue is the MCU dying?" Like what? Listen, I've said this before. I'll say it again. We need a lot of good, consistent, quality films to really do well, right? Thunderbolts, great step in the right direction. I reviewed that as well, and I had a fun time watching it. That was a pretty good film. Great director for that one, and I think he's tapped to X Men. Perfect choice. And then we had Matt Shackman, director of WandaVision, also doing this one. It was a great retro futuristic style. I think he's going to do great with the second Fantastic Four film. Sadly, we're not going to be getting the Shackman cut on this one, which would have been perfect. I think maybe been a clean 10 out of 10, honestly, if it had been longer. But according to him, they were planning on introducing more characters, more villains, and I wish we could have gotten that. Because a lot of scenes were cut off, but he's like, oh, the CGI and all would be too much, so that's why we can't release it. But I'm like, just put the deleted scenes back in there, just edit it in the film. But no, we're not going to get the bare minimum as well. I don't know if it was Kevin Feige's choice or the people at Disney who were like, no, this film needs to be under 2 hours long. Like, look, Doomsday and Secret Wars are clearly going to have to be over 2 hours long, so why say no to this one? Like, at least give us like Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that was even over the 2 hour runtime. We don't need to copy The Incredibles bar for bar, like have the similar people with powers and also copy the runtime. Like, animated films are usually shorter, live actions are a bit longer, so it needs to be done. But anyways, I think the MCU is heading in the right direction. I don't understand why this film couldn't have come out sooner. It's a solo film, right? Really little to no homework was required. Even if you hadn't seen the post credit scene of Thunderbolts, that's fine. Like this film could have come out in Phase 4 or 5. No homework really required because it had been teased forever. We would always see that ominous, like not really ominous, it's just the four logo playing when anytime Kevin Feige would tease the Fantastic Four. First planned to be directed by John Watts, director of the Spider-Man Home trilogy with Tom Holland. But now he's done with that. He's not directing the Spider-Man films anymore. Now we have Destin Daniel Cretton, director of Shang-Chi, and for directing Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is being talked about a lot and looks great. We're getting practical stuff. I think he's the right choice for the new direction that Spider-Man needs to take with Tom Holland. So I think great choice from there. And again, I'm not touching too much about that. That's a separate video, of course. But as far as this goes, I think the MCU is trying to get on the right track. But again, even Thunderbolts could have come out in like Phase 4, because really once Black Widow was out, everything else was pretty much set in stone. So if we got these good quality projects sooner, I think we would be doing better, right? We could have teased in Doomsday, and had more projects come out. Shang-Chi 2, Black Panther 3, Doctor Strange 3, like these projects would have brought us closer to Avengers 5, that being Doomsday, and it would have eased in our way better, had more transitions, and even for the non-comic book fans, we would have understood better, like what is going to happen in Doomsday, what's going on. The only people who really know what's happening right now are either people who are, fully locked in and aware of the MCU and all caught up, all homework done, or people who are like comic book fans. So like I guess me and like a few other people I know. But for the vast majority of the public who are really out of the MCU, they're more so confused, because we're rushing into Doomsday. We don't really have the clearest plan. The script for Doomsday is not even done yet. So like, what's going on? What are we doing? Yes, we brought back RDJ, because we need people to see Doomsday. Yes, we're bringing back the Russos. We need that sort of trust and credibility in it. But that's the bare minimum. What are we doing more than that? So Spider-Man Burning Days, whatever, it's its own thing. We have great people working on it. I'm not worried about Spider-Man Burning Day. I think that's going to be a great project, great film. By the looks of it, just looks awesome. I just wish we could stop getting so many leaks already. Like, it's crazy though. The aura of Spider-Man is just like that. As soon as filming begins, people are already leaking as much as they can. But I mean, similar things have happened in previous Spider-Man films. Like, even it's probably not going to be as the big crazy cameo fest that was No Way Home. We're getting a lot of people in this one, like Punisher, Scorpion, Hulk. All those people are in this film. So who knows? But it's just the power that Spider-Man has in his role within the MCU. But no, Doomsday is where I guess more of the concern is, because like, what are we doing next? What's sort of the roadmap happening here? Yeah, we teased Doom in the mid-credit scene of Fantastic Four, but like, what does that really mean? Like, so is the 838 Victor Von Doom, was he the guy who was not there to represent Latveria? Is like that's the thing they were teasing. I mean, I didn't really need much of an explanation about it. I'm fine if we just focus more on the Fantastic Four members, as this film was supposed to do, and it did fairly well. But as a Fantastic Four movie, pretty good. But as far as setting up Doomsday, we're still a bit loosey goosey on that. I understand you want to preserve some of it for Doomsday and have Doctor Doom, I guess, be the main character and explain his origin within that film, but what does he want? Like, what is he trying to do? If you're not really aware of what's happening, you're gonna be more confused than anything. I understand we're rushing into Doomsday and Secret Wars so we can reboot with the X-Men and all that, later on. But like, what's sort of the plan for now? So the concerns are there because Infinity War and Endgame, the roadmap was built fairly beautifully. We had phases 1, 2, 3, the Infinity Saga. Everything was doing great. Even though we had some low quality projects here and there, everything was making sense. The MCU had a crystal clear roadmap that they were following. Now, sure, we have a lot of projects, but it's not like this ties into that. I will say that the Thunderbolts post credit scene did actually a fairly good job. I think a lot of us love that post credit scene. One of the MCU's best. It's weird calling it a post credit scene though, because like it played on for a couple of minutes. It was basically like its own little scene there. But it did a pretty good job in explaining that. Okay, we got the Fantastic Four next. They actually teased the future project, explaining how these are going to be connected when the Fantastic Four members and the members of the Thunderbolts interact with each other, explaining what's going on as of right now with the huge space crisis happening in Doomsday. So, I'm glad we're getting more of that, but like, that's what we were missing. If we just got some scenes like that, I think the wordiness of Doomsday would be off our shoulders. So that is sort of what my concern is about. Like, sure, the quality is coming back, we're getting all this back, but the concerns of Doomsday hasn't really been taken away yet. And I know Spider-Man Burning Day is going to be awesome, but I don't really think it's going to do a lot in connecting to Doomsday. It's not its job. It's not what I'd expect either. It's probably going to be a good film from just what I can say about it right now, not even seeing any trailers for it because it's still filming, but it's going to be its own small little thing, like the Fantastic Four was, like Thunderbolts were. These movies were about their own things. Yes, they might have a tease into Doomsday, but it's not really their job to, explain what it's going to be about. So, small concerns I have, but hopefully we'll see how that goes. Like, yes, oh, RDJ is back. Okay, but like, what is he going to do? What's going on? We're not really getting any of that because we had a lot of back then. We had an Iron Man trilogy, a Cap trilogy, a Thor trilogy. We had all these trilogies. We had two Guardians films, leading us up into Infinity War and Endgame. Now we haven't really gotten much of that. Now we've gotten like a bunch of solo character projects. Like we've had one, I guess, Captain America movie with Sam Wilson and I guess his new Avengers rosters. Like, but like, who still are they? You know, because he's assembling them off screen. Like, all this is happening off screen. Yeah, we got a Thunderbolts movie, the new Avengers, cool, but why couldn't that come sooner? You know, Fantastic Four again. Why couldn't that have come sooner either? You know, so these like small issues I've had, you know, should be should have been resolved in some way. Because then I would have had little to no concerns with Doomsday. Like, yeah, here we go. If they had gone King Dynasty route, sure. We did do some teasing, we did some setup. We had Loki, we had Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, but the issues were, you know, with King not really being that threatening, the worries were not looking too great either. As far as how it goes with Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom himself, he is a Fantastic Four villain. In a couple of ways, he is one of their main villains, of course, so it made sense to introduce the Fantastic Four. Because if you'd seen the films from the 2000s, he had a pretty significant presence within them. So like Galactus is one of their villains, Puppet Master, Mole Man, Doctor Doom. These are Fantastic Four villains, you know. But some of them are threatening enough, I guess, to be main Avenger villains as well, to be like this Avengers level threat, so to speak. So you know, the opportunity definitely is there, you know. But I guess having RDJ play him just to make people happy, is this really like what the MCU has come to? Like having to appease to the fans just to get something good going. Where's the quality in, you know, their story? I guess the charm has just been lost, I guess. And now it's kind of like sad to see where we're at, you know. Like sure, you can have the best score possible. You can have Alvin, what was his name? The guy who did what's it? The guy who composed the film. Alan Silvestri. Yeah, you can have him back. You can have all these people back. But like, you know, like what are we gonna do now? You know, the Russos are back. Yay! Like I'm happy. I'm definitely excited. You know, the potential is there. They're great directors for sure, as long as you keep them away from the writing. But other than that, like, well, what's happening? What are we doing here? I don't know, you guys. It's been some time, huh? But the future is there, optimistic, of course, but I think a lot of people are somewhat done with the multiverse saga, whatever that was about. These three phases are pretty much coming to a wrap, to a conclusion. Um, we might get a Doctor Strange 3 in 2027, but it hasn't been announced, so who knows? Little faith in that happening. We might actually get a Blade movie now, but um, what I think is while Doomsday and Secret Wars are gonna probably be bigger than Infinity War and Endgame, their excuse me, their hype will be lacking to Infinity War and Endgame, and I think that's the main point I just wanted to stress about. That while these films are gonna be big, we're gonna have the X-Men, Fantastic Four. They can be a cameo fest, but the quality and the hype, I think, just won't be there as much. Now you can argue, oh, but brand new day, so many people are interested. Oh, the millions of views that Marvel's live stream had for their cast members. This is what I call limited excitement. It'll be there, but not forever. Look at Fantastic Four, right? We say that Marvel's back, but most people wanted to see it. Saw it with an opening weekend. I saw it with an opening weekend, you know? Um, within second week two, I guess, of the film, most people who wanted to see it had already seen it by then. And then, you know, for the casual viewers who might come and see it week two, week three, it's not really as much there. And even though there's very little homework required, you know, once I guess Captain America Brave New World had come out, I guess people were just done. Maybe that was like the last make or break film, you know, where like Captain America, an established title of the MCU, compared to Thunderbolts. Who the heck are the Thunderbolts, you know? And even Fantastic Four may have been known beforehand. They're probably not as, you know, familiar maybe with a Gen Z and Gen Alpha audience. I don't know. But that is basically that, and what I will say again. This film, gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Future of MCU, we discussed a lot about that. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is the best way to describe it. We will see how it goes. I will be continuing to talk about these things, of course, as you can review/reactor. That's my job on the channel, making videos like these for you guys, of course. And anything that comes up, might talk about it here and there, so expect more of that to come soon. But yeah, I think I pretty much touched up upon everything else. So yeah, let me know what you guys have thought about it, about this film, the future of the MCU, where to go from here. and any potential future suggestions as well. I will definitely read them. So that's about it, you guys. Eager Reviewer / Reactor is out. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.